I feel people have an extreme tendency to engage in bad behavior and then justify their engagement in that bad behavior in a myriad of different ways. I remember when I was younger, I used to steal from stores all the time. I shit you not, every single time I walked into a store, I would steal something. And I would justify my actions by convincing myself that what I was doing was actually for a righteous cause. I would tell myself, oh, well, these businesses underpay their employees and engage in all sorts of malpractice and corruption, and they rip people off all the time. Therefore, my thievery is actually a way of getting back at them and giving them what they deserved. But in all actuality though, I was just stealing shit because I either couldn't afford it or didn't want to spend my money on it. I was justifying my bad behavior with a false sense of morality. I'd constructed this narrative in my head that I was some sort of anti-capitalist vigilante standing up against corporate greed and injustice, when really, I was just a broke boy. It's easy to over-intellectualize things and make them seem far deeper than they truly are, but it's hard to swallow the simple truth. I feel this sort of narcissistic behavior has been on an extreme rise lately, and today I'd like to share some of my thoughts about it. Now, I could have just kept stealing and engaging in my bad behavior, but after a certain point, I asked myself, do I want to keep stealing and always be stealing, or do I want to work towards putting myself in a position in which I don't have to steal things? If somebody younger than me looked up to me, is this something I'd teach them to do, or would I discourage theft? And if it's something I would discourage, then why am I myself engaging in it? I told myself, if I keep engaging in this behavior, then I will grow comfortable with this behavior, and comfort breeds complacency, and with complacency, nothing will change. This phenomena takes place in all sorts of ways though, because bad behavior is a broad term and can encompass many things. One way we see this take shape quite a bit is within the realm of politics. Tribalism is a toxic trait that plagues many facets within our society, and people have a tendency to get extremely tribalistic when it comes to the realm of politics, and they'll engage in some very nasty behavior to defend a cause they perceive or deem to be righteous. They'll use something such as social justice or whatever ideology they stand behind to justify dehumanizing and attacking others both online and in person. You can also watch this sort of behavior unfold between men and women. Occasionally, you might encounter a woman who claims that all men are horrible. She lashes out against men, often without provocation, justifying this behavior by labeling all men as evil. However, her anger often stems from unresolved issues with specific individuals, such as an ex-boyfriend or her father. And instead of addressing these personal experiences directly, she channels her trauma and rage towards every man she meets, not realizing that putting negativity out only brings negativity back, and she'll begin to fulfill her own prophecy with the lens she has constructed for herself, in which all men are evil. This generalization not only distorts her perspective, but also reinforces a cycle of negativity. By projecting hostility, she creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. The belief that all men are evil leads her to mistreat them, which in turn attracts individuals who tolerate or respond to such mistreatment, oftentimes a poor crop of men. The people of your past don't reflect every person in the world, and so to generalize all men and treat them as if they're all guilty of the actions committed by others whom they have zero personal affiliation with is not fair, healthy, or productive. This is not an issue just exclusive to women by any means though. We see men do this exact same thing too, which is why figures like Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate seem to blow up so much. A man may get cheated on or wronged by a woman at some point in his life, and so he may carry the weights of that betrayal into his broader view of women. He'll hear these men who've experienced similar situations and trauma echo similar sentiments that reinforce his own negative preconceived notions of all women, and feel reaffirmed by and at home with their platforms. If a man's girlfriend broke up with him and got with a new guy who just so happened to have a better car or job or something, when he hears Fresh and Fit say all women are gold diggers on their podcast, it'll resonate heavily with him because it reaffirms his own individual experience, and so he'll justify his mistreatment of women using said reaffirmations and experiences. But once again, if one feels justified in their mistreatment of others and they're constantly putting that negativity out there, then negativity or poor relationships is what they shall receive in return. And mind you, I'm not special. I've been wronged by many women throughout my life, but I don't let the actions of those particular women represent or speak for the actions of all women, because those women aren't all women, and it's been my refusal to let the resentment I may hold towards those women in my past tarnish my perception of all women that's actually enabled me to meet a wonderful woman who I now hold dear. And at no point did I punish her or label her guilty for the actions of the other women who I've had bad experiences with, because those weren't her actions, and she doesn't deserve to be punished for them, nor does any person for the actions they as an individual did not commit. Remaining cautious as to not repeat your same mistakes is one thing, but to actively punish certain people for for the actions of other people is completely ridiculous, and there's a fine line between the two. If you find yourself engaging in this sort of justificatory behavior, I would highly suggest that you take a step back and truly think about and confront the reasons you do exactly what you do, and to not get lost in your own idealized self or sense of self-importance or self-righteousness. Don't lie to people and claim it was to protect their feelings rather than admitting your fear of confrontation. Don't cheat and say it was because your needs weren't met when really it was because you're selfish, unloyal, manipulative, and what have you. Don't lash out in wild fits of rage or give people nasty attitudes and claim it was because you were provoked rather than taking accountability for your lack of emotional control. Avoiding these things and actually confronting your poor behavior for what it truly is a major step in becoming a genuinely better person, one who people actually enjoy being around, one who feels down to earth and trustworthy, because when people see that you can self-reflect and hold yourself accountable for things rather than relying on everybody else to force you to recognize your wrongdoings and face accountability for them, it provides them a level of trust and comfortability. Nobody should feel they need to first force you into a corner before you take accountability. Now let's talk about what happens when this behavior goes completely unchecked, and I am a huge fan of history, so I think the most interesting examples can be found with dictators, but most specifically Adolf Hitler. Now, we obviously view Adolf Hitler as an incredibly evil individual, right? Okay, just making sure this wasn't Instagram Reels. But if you were to ask Adolf Hitler whilst he was in the midst of committing some of the most horrendous acts throughout the entire course of human history, if he were engaging in evil, he would likely tell you no, and mean it truthfully, as he genuinely believed that what he was doing was in the best interest of his people. To him, he was fighting a righteous cause, and he was committed to his own personal worldview, which he didn't believe was inherently evil at all. He viewed himself as the savior of Germany, looking to restore its power and cultural identity. He viewed the atrocities he committed as steps towards a better future, and this is how he was able to justify such horrid acts. And we see this with many people who've committed similar acts as well. This sort of self-perception is not unique to Hitler by any means though, and many perpetrators of atrocities throughout history have rationalized their actions as serving a higher good, whether for a nation, religion, or ideology. But what you must understand is the world isn't just black and white. It's not a matter of good or evil. I think it's a matter of good and evil. And when these people operate, it isn't for the sake of sheer evil and destruction, although that's what it may look like from the outside, but actually for the betterment of the world according to their own worldviews. This is why it can be dangerous to let your own individualistic worldviews consume you, because when you frame your actions within a narrative of necessity, righteousness, or moral authority, you may engage in some pretty awful things, yet be deluded by your own perceived sense of nobility. And yeah, those are just some of my thoughts on this topic, and if you want me to clarify anything you heard in this video, then feel free to ask in the comments and I'd be more than happy to do so. Also, feel free to share your takes, right? I love hearing what y'all have to say and engage in the topic. Let's create a conversation. I love that, and I think it's healthy for all of us, you know? It serves a really good purpose. Also, I would love for you to think about what are some bad behaviors that you may engage in that you feel that you found ways to rationalize over time. And this does take some self-reflection, but I really do think this is a very healthy exercise that maybe, you know, a lot of people may not even do this on their own time. And this opportunity right here of someone reminding you to do so may actually make you step back and think about what it is you do that you don't really know exactly why you do, or something that you just found a way that you know deep down is bad, but you found a way to rationalize it and be like, no, this is actually a good thing. This is for a higher cause or a higher purpose, when actually it's just bad behavior. I think we all do it. We're all guilty of this to some extent. I mean, nobody is perfect. And yeah, so yeah, please share that if you're willing to. I would love to read through that. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of y'all's days. Stay healthy. Peace.